What's going on, guys? It's Kai here and welcome to another video. Now today's video we are talking about a new series that we're going to be doing, and it's just going to be the basics of botting. Now I get so many questions about what are proxies, what are servers, what bot to buy, so many different questions regarding botting. So this is it. We're going to start a series of the basics, and today's video we will be talking about what are proxies. Now, before we start, I would like to say, if you'd like to join my cook group, please click the top link in the description. We are basically a beginner and advanced based cook group where we teach you the ins and outs of reselling. Whether you're a manual sneaker reseller or whether you are a botter, you will learn something from this group. We provide all the raffle lists for every single release, hold or sell, investment information, and we also do a one-on-one call with everyone who wants one every single month. This means we get on calls together and we'll actually explain on how to, increase your reselling career and, scale it to become even bigger. But apart from that, let's get straight into the video. So, proxies. You'll hear loads of botters talk about, oh, my proxies didn't work on this release, or my proxies, killed this release, or something like that. Why is that? So firstly, what is a proxy? Now, a proxy essentially is an IP address, okay? It makes you look like you're a different part of the country, or you can even make yourself look like you're in a different country. So why is this good for when botting? Well, if you didn't know, when botting, when you create a task, that is basically a task trying to enter the site. So if you didn't use proxies, you'd be all on your home IP address, which is basically your Wi-Fi, or what they call your local IP. So if you run 100 tasks all on your local IP, the website are just going to ban you. This is because you've got 100 and you've got multiple requests all coming from the same IP address, so the website is going to know it's all from the same kind of person, if you think like that. So that means they'll just see that and they'll just ban it straight away. There's no getting around it. You can't really get away with more than one per IP address. But now we'll move on to how the actual IPs and the proxies work. So there are different types of proxies. However, we are just going to talk about how it obviously makes you look different. So say you have a 500 tasks and you have 500 proxies. Each individual task will look like you're coming from a different part of the country, different part of the world, to make it look like you're not the same person, essentially. This will actually prevent you from getting banned from the website because they do track your proxies and track your IP address, and this will actually allow you to run multiple tasks and so on. So why isn't there just one proxy that everyone can buy and use them for botting? That's because there's so many different, there's 3 different types of proxies and there's so many different providers of these proxies. So first of all, there are data center proxies, ISP proxies, and you also have residential proxies. Now we're going to quickly go through what they all mean, and then we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each. So residential proxies. This is basically like a home IP address, okay? Residential, resident. These are all IP addresses that are like home IP addresses, and essentially what that means is, yes, they are very reliable and they're less likely to get banned because it's from a home kind of IP. But however, they are a lot slower. And when I mean a lot slower, you're talking over 1,000 milliseconds most likely, and a lot of the time. You can get fast ones and you can get slow ones. It all depends on what the provider is. Next up, we have data center proxies. Now, these are literally just coming from a data center. They are then put on a server and you get them from there. Now, with data center proxies, you buy the amount of proxies you want, so the amount of IP addresses you want. So say you want 50, you would buy 50. You usually tend to pay for a month, so 50 for a month, and you can use them as much as you want. However, residential proxies, you buy the amount of data you want. So say in your phone bill, you pay for 5 gigabytes of data. With residential data, you can, generate as many IP addresses as you want most of the time. But the problem is obviously when your data runs out, that's it. So the more tasks you run, the more proxies you run, the more faster your data is going to run out. Now, obviously, I will go into pros and cons after, but they're the kind of 2 differences. Data center, you buy for the individual IP addresses. Residential, you pay for an amount of data. You can generate as much as you want. The more you use, the faster data is going to go. Next up, we have ISP. Now, these are actually coming in big time at the moment, at this time of recording. Sorry if you are watching later on, but however, at the moment, for UK, ISPs are doing very well. Now, what ISPs are is essentially, they're actually a mix between resis and data center. As I said before, residentials tend to be quite slow and data center proxies tend to be very, very fast. These are kind of like the middle. You do pay in the same way of data center proxies, as in the amount of IP addresses you want, but what happens with these ISPs is they're actually made from an internet service provider such as Vodafone or something like that. Now these obviously then put on a server and you use from that. However, at the moment, they are tend to be doing very, very well. So there's the 3 different types of proxies. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of each. So first of all, residential proxies. You know how we said they were very slow? However, they are a lot more reliable. They are less likely to get banned because they're not stupid fast and they're from actual residential, IPs. So these are good on your sites, such as ones with a long queue. So your Adidas splash page, your Foot Lockers, and so on. But yeah, as I said, they're slower, but they're a lot more reliable. And you've got to be careful because some of these Foot Locker releases are going for hours upon hours. You can easily go through 4 or 5 gig of data if you're not careful. And these tend to be usually between £9 and £20 per gigabyte. Next up, we have data center proxies. Now, as I said before, you buy the amount of IP addresses you want. So if you want 50 proxies, you pay for 50 things. You pay for 50 IP addresses or 50 DCs. Now, as I said, you can use these as much as you want, okay, but you only have them for the month. Now, pros and cons of these, well, the pros is obviously going to be they're so much faster than residential proxies. The other downfalls are going to be is they are easily banned. And when I say easily banned, DCs are banned in most sites. You need to find the right provider, essentially. Why are these good? These are definitely good on sites that are very first come, first served. I know a lot of the US run a lot of DCs or ISPs because of the fact that they have Shopify and that is first come, first served. They are also good for things like Foot Locker as well because you can just let them run. However, you do need to be careful with your delays because you do not want them getting banned. Now, ISPs are basically the mix between both, okay? Yes, they are very fast as well, like data center proxies, and also because they're made from an internet service provider, you can actually expect them to be less likely to get banned because they look more legit from websites. So they actually, at the moment, are unbanned in a lot of places, and they also do hold the speed. However, you've got to remember these are actually very expensive, so there is pros and cons of every single one. Now, some other factors that I would like to talk about is obviously your delays. Okay, in a bot, if you don't know you have delays, which basically means the bot will wait a certain amount of time before retrying or timing out. Lower delays mean higher chances of you getting banned, however gives you technically a higher chance of copying if they don't get banned. Higher delays will mean that obviously you have less likely of getting banned, however you've got to be careful because too slow delays you may not cop. So it's all about finding what's best for each site is very different, each bot is very different as well. I would like to give a shout out to all of my proxy sponsors in this video. All of these do actually provide ISPs and residential proxy data. So we have Nebula Proxies, who have just launched their ISPs. We have Rampage Proxies, who have been one of the best for Supreme at the moment. Their ISPs have absolutely been killing it. So please check them out, and do also a very good Resi plan. And Venom Proxies are actually in beta of launching their ISPs, and we will have some footage of using them in the upcoming videos. Obviously, they do have a residential plan as well. However, the ISPs are coming very, very soon. So please click the links in the description if you'd like to purchase any of these. And the code will also be down in the description as well to get yourself. Usually, I think it's around 20 to 25% off, which is a nice little discount. Apart from that, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you'd like to join the cook group, top link in the description. But apart from that, see you guys soon.